He's getting older.
Hey, welcome to Con Air. Oh, hit the volume button.
But not wiser.
Pour some sugar on me.
This is the Lefty Show.
Welcome, everybody, to the Lefty Show, number 14. Glad to be with you today, Friday, May 16th, in the year of our Lord and Savior, Spaghetti Monster 2014. Welcome, everybody, to the Lefty Show. Thank you all for joining. And thank you, everybody that's been listening and liking and favoriting and subscribing on YouTube, sharing the podcast with your friends and family and co-workers, everybody for donating. I'mRaising.com/643productions. Once again, that's I'mRaising.com/643productions, a little P on Productions. There's a link in the description if you want to donate, help out the show, help with hosting costs, studio improvements, just help out Lefty in general. Help me out if you want to. I'mRaising.com/643productions. But welcome one and all. Hello. Hello there. How are all of you today? This is, again, like I said, Friday. Got a lot to do today. It's earlier in the morning. Early-ish in the morning. Got PKA coming up today, sometime later to this afternoon or this evening. And should be available for you guys on Saturday. And as usual, I will give you the heads up, or try to give you the heads up via le Twitter at Lefty643 if you want to follow me. I will give you the heads up to when, that's where you can follow me, by the way, to keep up on all the Lefty Show news, all the Lefty news, really. That's your number one Lefty news outlet is twitter.com/Lefty643 or just at Lefty643. That's where you can go for all of your Lefty news. I'll give you guys the heads up as to when PKA is recorded, and like I say every single week, apparently there's people that still don't get it. I cannot give you an exact time as to when PKA will be uploaded on somebody else's channel. I can't. I don't know when. Perhaps it's the information age. Perhaps it's that. I don't want to say entitlement. That's not what I want to say. Because well, number one, it's not really what I mean. But it's also, it doesn't seem like entitlement, but it just seems as though entitlement's got just a negative connotation, and I try to reserve it for when it's actually should be used. But some people, they think that because we're perhaps, again, like I said, the theory goes that because we're in the information age, all this information should be available constantly whenever they want, on demand, et cetera, et cetera. And we live in the age of on-demand content. You know, cable lineups are going by the wayside. People are cutting ties with cable and going to Netflix, going to Amazon Instant Video, going to Hulu, I guess. And we live in this age where all kinds of media, all kinds of information, literally at your fingertips, at your beck and call. Whenever you want and whenever you don't want it, it's not there, and you're not going to miss out. It's going to be available. It started with TiVo, and then on-demand stuff from premium channels, and now Netflix and HBO Go and Hulu and Amazon Instant Video. And I guess that kind of bleeds into other parts of society, like, was PKA recorded today? A reasonable question, sure. But when people go so far as to say, when is it going to be uploaded on Woody's channel, not my channel, Woody's channel, when is it going to be uploaded? I got nothing for you. And not only do I have nothing for you, I want to know what happens in your head. Not necessarily you who's listening to this, but just in general. This is the general term. I want to know what happens in your head that makes you think I would have the answer to it. Not to condescend to be like, what makes you think you should ask me that question? Not that, but what in your head, what was the thought process by which you said, yes, this is the place to go for the answer to this question? Because even in its own right, asking when will something be uploaded, some weekly content, when will it be uploaded, is a reasonable question. And there's nothing wrong with it. But not everybody has the answer to your question. Not everybody has the information to answer your question. Not all that media is everywhere for you all the time. And I just wonder what it's like, what the thought process is like in somebody's head that goes from, okay, Painkiller Already, a weekly podcast, is recorded and uploaded on Woody's Gamertag's channel. Nobody else is at this point in time. Lefty is a co-host of Painkiller Already, but not the sole proprietor of Woody's the YouTube channel known as Woody's Gamertag. I am going to ask Lefty, the co-host of PKA, not the sole proprietor of the channel known as Woody's Gamertag, and I'm going to ask him when this content is going to be uploaded to the YouTube channel known as Woody's Gamertag. And I just, what makes you think, not to say, how dare you ask me, but how dare you fucking ask me? Because what in your brain makes you think that I would in any way have that information? That does not compute, does not mesh up. And it goes, not everybody has the answer to all your questions. Not everybody is required to have the answers or the information or the time to give the attention to whatever you say. And this is a product, I think, also of the everybody gets a trophy mentality. And I get it a little bit too, because I was just leaving the trophy phase of sports growing up, or the trophy phase of competitive whatever growing up. I was just leaving that phase just as they started giving participation awards and 5th place, 6th place, 7th place, 8th place trophies in sporting tournaments or whatever. I was just getting out of that. I just missed it by a bit. It was starting up. There were murmurs of it happening, but I was spared for the most part that whole thing. But I still get a little bit of it. But when you grow up and you are treated like God's gift to humanity, when mommy and daddy drop everything for you, when mommy and daddy say, "Ooh, little Johnny," or "Little Vinny," "Little Debbie," oh, you're the greatest here. We're going to enroll you in this and that and the other thing. And look at all these accolades that are thrown upon you. And everybody gets a trophy. And you're going to get a trophy for this. And you're going to get a trophy for that. And you're going to get a trophy for the other things. And you get trophies, awards, accolades upon accolades upon accolades. And the acolytes. Good. That was a good bit for a while. WWF. The acolytes. And when you do that, and when you there's a whole bunch of things wrapped up in that issue. Parents treating their children as the second coming of whatever, the second coming of sliced bread, or pick your metaphor, pick your colloquialism. And there's a whole bunch of issues wrapped up in that. And I can't even explain them all, and I don't understand them all, to be sure. But it seems to me that if from the age of reason, well, not the age of reason, from the age of consciousness, you tell this consciousness, either implicitly or explicitly, you say you are rewarded, you are the best, you deserve to have all these adorations heaped upon you, you invariably create an error in that human, or maybe it's not even concrete, but you raise the likelihood, you certainly increase the likelihood that person is going to, when they go out and start interacting actually with other humans and other entities, they are going to say, well, hey, where the fuck's my answer to things? Why aren't you paying attention to me and my words? Because I deserve that. And it's probably not conscious. It's probably not nefarious. It's not dastardly. It's just they can't help but think, well, son of a bitch, man. Since I was 5 years old, I was getting awards, and my parents were doing all these things for me, and I was told how great I was, and all these things were great. But now I want that same thing now. Why aren't you stopping everything to listen to what I have to say? Why do you not have this information for me? You're supposed to have this information for me because when I was growing up, no matter what I did, somebody tried to answer my question. And my questions and my actions and my deeds were always rewarded and always, codified or in some way realized in the form of an award or just general adoration. So where is that now, kids say? And no, stop that. It cannot be good. Again, I'm not a I was going to say socialist. I guess I do have some socialistic theories. Some people ask if I'm libertarian. It's just, we'll get to that in a second. I'm not good on social theory. Again, people study that and a lot smarter than I and can just postulate all these things and take into account things that I had never thought of. And okay, but it cannot, in my mind, it can't be good. I would be hard pressed to think of a situation or a scenario in which it is better for society overall for everybody to have this high opinion of themselves. And again, it's not conscious. It's subconscious. It's learned. Everybody to have this learned high opinion of themselves. That I deserve a trophy, I deserve a participation award, and it translates to I deserve all these things in my life. I deserve answers whenever I ask a question. I deserve to have everything I say. I deserve everybody listening or everybody hearing my words to hang on them and give them the attention that I believe they deserve because that's happened all my life since I was a child. And I'm hard-pressed to think of a scenario in which that's good for society. Because no, whatever you say isn't... It's not prolific necessarily. And shit, listen to this show. What I've said has been said what I say has been said countless times over by thousands, millions of people throughout history. I'm not reinventing the wheel. It just kind of sounds nice while I'm doing it. But, no, your opinion can be stupid. And that's a big thing in society, at least today. Cutting my teeth and making my bones and winning bread on the internet. I'm trying to think of as many metaphors as I can. Doing that on the internet, I run into that a lot. Well, it's just my opinion, man. Well, your opinion was stupid, you jagoff. Whatever your opinion is does not mean that it is beyond reproach, and it also does not mean that it can't be fucking stupid. And that's why I say, what's the point of bringing up George Washington? Because when you criticize somebody and then you hide behind, well, it's just my opinion, man. Well, then my opinion is that your life does not have enough George Washington in it. Thus, you fucking suck. You suck. Whatever you do sucks because your life does not have, or whatever you do does not have enough George Washington in it. And that's just my opinion, man. Is that reasonable? Or am I just a fucking jagoff? Exactly. I'm a fucking jagoff for doing that. And if I expect to be taken seriously saying, this sucks, you suck, or I am criticizing you, or whatever. Pick it, right? This service sucks. This movie sucked. This book was bad. This gas sucks because there's not enough George Washington in it. It's just my opinion, man. Well, your opinion can be fucking stupid. And it's time people start accepting that. I've had stupid opinions. I've had very stupid opinions for a long time. I was a climate denier for a while. Holy shit. And fuck, man, wrong. Because I had to form an opinion because I didn't have enough facts to make an argument. So I said, well, it just doesn't appear to me, logically, applying my bastardized logic, it doesn't appear to me that humanity could be doing all this. That we're going to... What the fuck, man? There's something else doing this. Not that climate is changing, but that humans are doing it. Excuse me. And for a while, that's all I got. That's all I had. And I just, I had to change it because that opinion turned out to be fucking stupid. It was dumb and bad. And I've accepted that about many things in my life and many things that I've said. But I look around and it appears that nobody else is willing to, or very few people, not nobody else, very few people are willing to accept that, because too many times I've had, and this circles back to criticism, too many times I've had people critique me for things that are just silly. They're just stupid shit. And I say, well, no, this is an invalid criticism because you are arguing something very dumb. You're trying too hard. You suck because you try too hard. Well, how the fuck did you establish that? Can you establish it? No. Then it's fucking stupid. They say, oh, you can't take criticism. Blah, 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 blah. You can't take criticism is the cry of people who believe that their opinions should be universally accepted by all. And how dare you question their opinions? How dare you reject what they have to say? Now you're a jag-off piece of shit, all those awful things. So it's children and society in general. Parents need to stop telling their children, implicitly or explicitly, like I said, that they are God's gift or whatever to whatever they're doing. Little Johnny is not going to play in the major leagues. It's just not going to happen. I don't care how good your kid is. The odds of him playing in the major leagues or the NFL or the NHL or the NBA or professional cock-tugging or something like that, the odds of that happening are so astronomical that stop telling your child, you keep at it, you keep winning those trophies, you're going to get a scholarship, you're going to go play in the major leagues. No. My father, when I was growing up playing baseball, I was good. I was a left-handed pitcher. I batted right-handed again, so just silliness. I was a left-handed pitcher. I wasn't blowing everybody away with my velocity, but I had a few pitches in my repertoire, and I could hit what I was aiming at generally, and I did well. And not only did I do well in like the in-house city league, I did well traveling around the state of Illinois playing baseball. And I did well in high school. But throughout all of that, my dad never once said, you're going to the major leagues. He never once said, you are good enough, you are undoubtedly good enough to get a check to play baseball. He always said you did really well today, and continue working on your craft, dedicate yourself to this if you want, and I'll support you. But don't delude yourself into thinking that you're going to be the next Randy Johnson, because you're not. What you need to do is focus on what you have, maximize what you have, and whatever happens after that is what happens, and I will support you through all of it. And if you do develop and you do get good enough, there is a chance, yes. But that chance is so astronomically low, it would be silly to set your hopes for that. And so stay more in the moment and not dreamy. Dare to dream, but don't think that you are just going to live that dream because you performed well here today. That's just not going to happen. And throughout all of my baseball career, playing in high school and doing well enough in high school, I never thought, man, I'm gonna be something. I'm gonna do it. I just didn't, because I realized it was, and there were guys there were other players on my team in the locker room who were strutting around, who had scouts coming to watch them. Or actually, as it happened once, a scout came to watch an infinitely better player who's actually still in professional baseball right now. The scout came to watch that player, and the guy on my team was strutting by, and his dad came up to the scout and was like, "You here to watch my son?" The guy's like, "Fucking no. I'm here to watch this guy who's throwing 93 miles an hour, and he's left-handed. Kiss my ass." And that same guy was strutting around. He was showing off a letter he got from the Cincinnati Reds before the MLB draft. He got a fucking letter, going to go in like, what, the 30th round? However, one of the lowest rungs of the round as a high school baseball player is the stupidest decision you could possibly make in your life. And this guy was like, yep, look at that letter from the Cincinnati Reds. And I was like, you're an idiot, man. And that that kid allowed just that entire thing. His father fed into the hype. They both boarded the hype train and had first class tickets, and nothing ever came of it. And the kid was a jagoff because his entire career, the entire time I knew him, it was all about how he was good enough and better than everybody else because there were greater things ahead of him. And he was just a jagoff. And he had made nothing of that whole thing. But because of the system that his father and coaches and paid trainers who had, quote, connections to scouts and all this stuff, because of the system created around this kid, he bought into his own hype, and he could do no wrong and was the best thing. Strutting around in the weight room before, like, what's the single season home run record for this school? Yeah, I'm gonna break it. Fucking hit 2. It was like 14 or something. Was the single season record. This is high school, mind you, so about 20 games or something. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. He hit 1 or 2, and and that is indicative of the subconscious mentality of a lot of children today. It doesn't have to necessarily do with sports anymore. Now, if your kid is really good at crocheting, all of a sudden, oh, you're the best crocheter. You're the best. Or if there's even an inkling of intelligence in a child today, they're in honors programs, they're taking tests all the time, and they're doing this and that and the other thing, and they're getting awards, they're getting tested, and oh my God. And then they go out into the world where they actually have to interact with humans, or they go onto the fucking internet where they interact with humans on the other end of a computer, and they're just jagoffs because they've bought into their own hype. They've bought into the hype created by their parents, and it creates an aura about them that they believe, Kool-Aid that they're drinking, that everything they say is gospel. Everything they say needs to be clung to and given its due accord because they said it, and they, by golly, are somebody that's damn important, and you better listen to what they have to say. And it's just not the case. And the sooner people stop doing that to their children, the sooner we can get back to a society where now opinions are prefaced again by I think. This is what I think. May be wrong, but this is what I think. That's gone. That's gone from society today. I try to do it. I have a tendency to be authoritative in my opinions, and I try routinely to preface everything or throw in I may be wrong, because I certainly may. And it's crucial to understand that. It's crucial to make that connection. Like, man, I may be wrong. I think this. I don't know this. I'm not saying this is what the way it is. This is what I think. This whole show is based around what I think. Not necessarily what I know, but what I think. And I won't try to make deductive reasoning look like objective fact when I can help it. But apparently, many other people just refuse to do that. They just refuse. Absolutely, it does not compute. Just doesn't compute. Say, what? What? You mean, no. Except that, preface everything, I may be wrong, I could be wrong. No, that's just not the case. That's just silly talk right there. All right, let's get into a little news of the day. Got some stuff for you. Been doing some research. Hit the archives, I did. We got a lot of things to talk about today. General Motors is going to pay out $35 million in fines. And oh, surprise, surprise, young people are not making enough money to buy houses, and that's got realtors scared, and and 20-somethings stressed out. What does that mean for society? We'll talk a little bit about that. And a 31-year-old female found to be posing as a 15-year-old in high school. We'll talk about that a little bit. My apologies. Still got some allergies going on. So let's get into the news. As I prefaced it for you guys today, General Motors is this is from CNN Money. General Motors is set to pay $35 million over delayed recall. Now, this is a bit of a nuanced thing, but in 2004, it was shown that in 2004, General Motors became aware of a design defect in their ignition systems for millions for a couple of lines of cars. And this design flaw could and did result in cars just shutting off on the road and shutting down systems like airbags and anti-lock brakes. And all kinds of car systems were shut down because of this design defect. Now, that wouldn't be big news. We all remember plenty of recalls and Total Recall. This is a pretty good Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I did not see the Colin Farrell remake of it. I heard good things. I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out one day. But we've all seen recalls. You know, there's the Jeep Grand Cherokee thing where, oh my God, it's got a mind of its own. The Ford Explorers, where if you didn't inflate their tires properly, there was a chance of an increased rollover chance. And all kinds of stuff like that. Toys that were found to be to have small parts that could dislodge and become lodged in an infant's nose, throat, whatever. We've all seen that. My apologies there. Had a little bit of a recording snafu. We're back now. Lefty show. My apologies. I'll edit that out, of course. It's just the recording stopped randomly and right in the middle of a thought, and I had to get it going again. Anyway, so General Motors, in 2004, it was established that they were made aware of this design defect, and it caused all these potential issues for a car. And for those of you that don't know, a car randomly turning off while you're operating it isn't that big of a deal, because cars are designed to, if it turns off, you can still kind of operate the vehicle. If you're moving, I mean, if you're not moving, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's just a headache and a potential traffic jam. But if you're moving, you can still, the power steering goes and the wheel becomes a lot harder to turn, but you can still kind of move it around, and you're still in drive, you're still in gear, and the gears remain turnable as long as you're not in park. Even with the car not on, the transmission is able to be used and able to be turned. So even though you're in drive and the engine shuts off, or the ignition stops supplying or shuts down all these systems, you can still turn the car and navigate to a safe place, throw it in park, and figure out what the hell went wrong. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you won't die, but it's manageable. Of the things to go wrong in a car, say wheels fly off or hood goes up, the engine suddenly turning off isn't the worst thing that can happen. However, when that is coupled with, say, the airbags turning off and not being able to be deployed, or your anti-lock brake system not working anymore, that's a bigger issue. Because then your car, or some of your car's crucial safety features, are no longer engaged. They're just not there anymore. Your engine is not necessarily a crucial safety feature of your car, but the airbags and your anti-lock brake system, well, they are. It's like if your seatbelts, because of some design flaw, your seatbelts no longer were able to sense rapid acceleration and hold you tight. If that was part of a design defect, well, that would be a pretty serious flaw in the design and of a crucial safety feature. So in 2004, they became aware of this issue, General Motors did. And it led to establish about 13 deaths, or not about, 13 deaths, like 12 and a half, 12 and 3/4. You know, there was one guy who was really fucked up. He wasn't dead, but he was really fucked up. And this was, again, 2004, but 10 years later, General Motors is just now starting a recall. In February of 2014, okay, again, they became aware of this design defect in 2004. And in 2014, only in 2014, did they announce a recall. Did they say, oh, whoa, bring those back. Bring those back free of charge. It's because we don't want to be liable, strict product liability. It's a design defect, so we are going to be liable for these deaths. Now, what was established, first of all, that was 10 years of time before becoming aware of the issue and then issuing a recall. On top of that, General Motors, it was established, tried to cover up the fact that they became aware of the issue in 2004. So not only did it just take a long time for them to issue a recall on a potentially deadly product, they tried to cover up the fact that they knew about it. They tried to say, oh, shit, we don't know. Maybe we just became aware of it. Oh, my God. Well, no. They were found to have been aware of it and trying to cover it up. And as a result of that, they have been ordered to pay a $35 million fine to settle a federal probe into the 10-year delay of their ignition switch recall. And this had to do with federal safety regulators. Now, that's a good thing, right? It's good. General Motors got punished. They did something, and they did something bad. First of all, they're liable for those 13 deaths and any other injuries or damages caused by that defect. They're liable for all of it. And they were punished via this settlement, ordered to pay $35 million as a result of these bad things they did. That's a win, right? Now, but think about it. Think about this. If you or I, because General Motors is a corporation, in law in the United States, corporations are treated as people. That's just one of the weird things that comes from having to have a set of rules, an objective set of rules that everybody kind of tries to adhere to, and judges, hear cases on and make judgments on. Judges, what do they do? And one of the odd things is corporations are treated as people, not actual people. They don't have all the rights of a person, but they've got some of them. And in this instance, it is as though General Motors, the person, we talked about when talking about Google and the constant love Google gets. Don't think of Google as a collection of cool bros. Think of Google, the person, doing these things. Because Google is a person. And General Motors, the person General Motors, did these things. Now, if you or I if I went out and created a product and whatever, I created a widget. Let's say I created an app, right? I learned some bullshit coding and I created an app on the iTunes Store or the Google Play Store, and I created an app that literally could give you cancer. It was some bullshit game, 2049, not 2048, fuck that, 2049. And that was my game. And you play the game, but because of some weird design, science jargon, because of some weird design, you were liable to get cancer. You were able to get cancer just from playing my game, and you could establish that, and you could establish later on that I knew that my game could give you cancer. It was so bad, my game was, that it could give you cancer. And I should have known that my game could give you some form of cancer. And if I, Lefty, did that, not only did that, I would be liable for your cancer treatments, et cetera, but if I tried to cover it up, if I waited a decade to say, yep, you should probably stop playing this game, might have cancer now. If I tried to do that and tried to cover it up and say, no, I didn't know. I mean, yeah, I kind of learned like a week after I put the game. But I mean, you know, who really knows about these things, right? Science is, there's good science and then there's bad science. I don't know what's what. How am I supposed to know? And I actively tried to cover up the fact that I knew that my game gave you cancer. Would I go to prison? Would there be people lobbying for me to be put in fucking jail? Would I be perp walked? Would I have handcuffs slapped on me because I was responsible for a handful of people getting cancer, and I, 10 years ago, could have said, yeah, you probably shouldn't do this. You might get cancer. And not only did I do that, but I tried to cover it up. I would be in fucking handcuffs. I would be before a criminal judge, not sitting before Congress in a federal probe trying to, oh, yeah, well, oops, $35 million. And think about this. This is General Motors, okay? General Motors, one of the biggest car companies in America, having to pay out $35 million for 10 years of misdeeds. Now, keep in mind, and people try to pull this shit, or Joe Paterno apologists try to pull this shit. He just made one mistake. No. Every single day, Joe Paterno or some other child rape apologist, every single day, a cardinal or the Pope, every single day that they did not turn in people they knew to be raping children or even suspected to be raping children, every single day they didn't do everything in their power to remove that serial child rapist, is a bad decision. It's not one bad decision to say, oh, maybe I shouldn't punish them. It's a series of bad decisions. It's chronic. Every single day they wake up, or every single day they woke up in between learning and final actual punishment, every single day it was a conscious decision, I am not going to drop the dime on this child rapist. And similarly, every single day, the person, General Motors, woke up, they decided, that person actively decided, nah, I'm not going to tell anybody about this. In fact, I'm going to try to obfuscate my knowledge of it. I'm going to try to play dumb. And I'm going to do whatever the mechanism was, burning documents or just telling people to shut up, or just conveniently, I'm not returning that call to that scientist or that safety inspector, or I'm just not doing it. Whatever the mechanism, the person, General Motors, actively every single day was like, no, I'm not gonna tell people that my car might kill them, that my car might key safety features might just shut off. Every single day, I, Lefty, did not tell people at iTunes or in the Google Play Store or downloaders of my game. Every single day I woke up, I chose not to tell them my game might give you cancer. For 10 years that happened. 10 years of active every single day. I am not going to tell somebody about this glaring defect in my product that could potentially kill them, and in fact has killed people. I am not going to tell anybody about it. For 10 years, every single day, $35 million. Was that $3.5 million a year? $3.5 million, about 365. What does that compute out to? Let's see. We'll do a little live math here. $3.5 million. I think that's right? 1, 2, 3. Oh, no. I put too many. 3. No. All right, $3.5 million divided by 365. That's $10,000 a day. Thereabouts. General Motors, $10,000 a day for not telling anybody and actively trying to cover up their knowledge of a glaring design flaw that killed people. 13 people. And that's General Motors. If it happened to you or I, you or me, would we be in front of a federal probe, forced to pay out? I don't even know what General Motors generates in profits every year, or in revenue every year. But I'm certain that $35 million is a pittance. Would I be forced to just pay out a pittance of my yearly revenue? Or would I be in fucking handcuffs about to go to jail? pretty sure I'd go to jail. But if you're General Motors, you get to delay 10 years not telling people about a glaring design flaw, and you got to pay $35 million fine. That's it. And the thing is, one of the worst parts about it is that this. Here's the quote from Money CNN. It says, quote, "The settlement also calls for GM to make internal changes that regulators say will help it do a better job of detecting safety problems with its cars. Since the recall problem became public, GM has created a position of vice president for global vehicle safety and hired 35 to 40 more safety investigators. Quote, "We have learned a great deal from this recall. We will now focus on the goal of becoming an industry leader in safety," said GM CEO Mary Barra in a statement. "We will emerge from this situation a stronger company." What about the people you fucking killed? Oh, well, it's good that we went through this hardship because now we're stronger people for it. You, General Motors, fucking killed people. And oh, it's good that I'm stronger now. It's good that I've learned from this thing. And again, totally missing the point. Have people completely lost any issue identification skills whatsoever? I mean, really. This is an article on CNN.com written by Chris Isidore and Renee Marsh at CNN Money, and general reporting of the facts. And here's another Money quote. "But even with the high hit to profits in the first quarter, the $35 million fine represents less than 1% of its earnings over the last 12 months. But here's the thing. These people writing this article make no mention of the fact that General Motors was aware of this issue in 2004. This is not an issue of General Motors being able to identify defects in their design and manufacturing process. That is not an issue here. They did become aware of this issue in 2004. They found it. The issue is that they, being greedy cocksuckers, covered it up for a decade and didn't tell anybody until, for whatever reason, it doesn't even matter at this point, they were forced to come out and issue a recall and say, oops, our bad. Yeah, we killed 13 people, but fuck it. Come on. And we've tried to hide this for 10 years, but fuck it. Come on back. Bring it all back. Sorry, our bad. The issue is not whether they had enough safety investigators. The issue is not whether they had a vice president for global vehicle safety. The issue is that they were greedy cocksuckers and covered up their killing of people for a decade. That's the issue. But you hire more safety investigators and you pay less than 1% of your 12-month earnings in a fine, and everybody, oh yeah, well it's good because they got more safety and they're stronger for it. And by golly willikers, they're better people for having killed these people and covered it up for a decade. The person, General Motors, killed people and covered it up for a fucking decade, and they are the ones saying General Motors is appearing on their front lawn in front of reporters saying, oh, well, you know, I'm a better person for having killed those people. I'm glad, because you know what I've done? I've bought some extra security cameras for my home so that I will be able to identify the people that I'm going to kill sooner. And I got, 20 to 30 more cameras for my home. I've created an entire labyrinth of security, and I'm a better person for having this experience. And why I'm going to emerge from this whole debacle stronger for having killed those people and covered it up for 10 years. I thank everybody for helping make me a better person. Would that fucking fly in any sense? Would anybody look at that and say, good, you know what? Good on you, General or Motors, General. Good job. Good job. Good job. I'm proud for you. I'm happy for you. I'm glad everybody gets a second chance. But it's General Motors. They pay less than 1% and say, well, we've hired more people. The issue wasn't you finding the fucking defect, you dickheads. And everybody's just, oh, well, they hired more people and created a safety inspector. And good on you. No, they killed people and covered it up. But somehow, well, fuck it. It is what it is. In other news, this is from NPR. Hello, welcome to NPR. All things considered. This is Maryland. Oh, geez. I don't even know how to say this. Giwax? That can't be right. Of all the possible pronunciations of that, I'm probably I'm almost assured that I went with probably the worst one. Maryland Giwax? Jewax? Giwax? Jewix? Jewix? Is that just a weird spelling of Jewix? But anyway, here's her story written today, May 15th on NPR.org. It says, quote, the U.S. housing market is strengthening after a tough winter, according to economists at a realtors convention in Washington. But even as the short-term outlook brightens, they remain worried about a long-term problem with missing young buyers. Quote, there really are serious issues in the first-time buyer market, Eric Belsky, managing director of Harvard's Joint Center of Housing Studies, told the National Association of Realtors on Thursday. He estimates that nearly 3 million more young adults are living with their parents compared with 2007, before the Great Recession had settled in. Apparently we're calling it the Great Recession now? Okay, call it the Great Fuck-Up of Wall Street cocksuckers. Anyway, continuing the quote, many would like to strike out on their own now, but their incomes aren't high enough to make it work, Belsky said. You have a very stressed group in their 20s. And later out of the article, 1 decade ago, the home ownership rate for young adults under age 35 was 43.6%. That means the number of people under age 35, of all the people under age 35 who own their own homes, I'm assuming over 18. It's like, fuck you, 16-year-olds, for not owning your own goddamn house. Bastards, lazy turds. 18 to 35 was, I'm assuming 18 to 35 here, so I may be wrong. 18 to 35 was 43.6%. Today, the rate is just over 36%, according to U.S. Census data. And they get into some factors here. First, millions are not finding jobs, or at least not the kinds of jobs that pay enough to save money for a down payment. The employment rate among Americans aged 20 to 24 slipped to just 61% in 2011. In the wake of the Great Recession. Great Recession! That's how I'm going to say it from now on. Compared with 72% in 2000, according to a Brookings Institution study. So here's the deal. Young people are not buying homes. They're just not. And the rate at which they are buying homes is going down. Not only is it just down, it's trending down. And in part because people can't find jobs, or can't find jobs that pay well enough to warrant buying a house, to warrant taking out a loan and making mortgage payments for 30 years. And what's more, they later in the article, they posit another theory or an ancillary theory. I believe that's the right word. Anyway, they posit another theory for why this is happening is because the job market, in part, is so volatile that young people who graduate college or leave college and young people entering the workforce, whatever it is, are so worried about losing their job or finding a better job that they don't want to take out a mortgage for 30 years. They don't want a 30-year fixed rate mortgage or whatever, because they are locked down for 30 years, or if they want to move and find another job and get a better job, they have to jump through all kinds of financial hoops in order to be able to do all these things. And that's just a lot. And so what they're doing now is renting instead of buying, or renting apartments, living in an apartment instead of buying. And that's assuming that they can even find a job. They're probably more likely to live with their parents until, who knows, until their parents die, or until their parents move out into another home, into a nursing home, and they get the house or something. And it's a big deal because while the housing market is getting better, there's a whole lot of people who right now will be of quote house buying age, ages at which you would normally buy a house, in order to perpetuate this big, it's all a bubble. The housing bubble, the bubble, the bubbles, all these bubbles are just smaller warts on the big, gigantic fucking wart that is our economic system. And that's okay. I mean, bubbles aren't necessarily a bad thing. And the fact that our entire economic system is essentially just a gigantic pyramid scheme, and many facets of our economy are gigantic pyramid schemes, Social Security and the housing market and things like that. Because once these houses get built, and once these pieces of land get appropriated as real estate, as consumer real estate, well, people don't live forever. And people that bought those houses and bought that land 40, 50 years ago are going to go away. And somebody is going to be there. Somebody's going to hopefully have to be there in order to buy that house, buy that land, give realtors a job, give contractors a job, give the bureaucracy of municipalities and states and at the federal level, give all those people a job, and what's more, give states money, give municipalities money in the form of real estate tax. Somebody's got to pay the taxes on those things, and it certainly isn't going to be the banks when they hold all the paper on all this stuff and people go away and nobody owns really anything anymore, and nobody has enough money or credit to buy things. It's going to be bad. So yeah, the housing market is maybe getting a little bit better by whatever metrics you want, but in 20 years, you're 40 years old and you're a male or a female, and you've been in the workforce for 20 years. At that point, you should probably have a house, and there are going to be many, 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 many people who either can't afford it or have just now started to build a financial base strong enough from which they can buy a house, buy a small house, and so on. And it's indicative there's no more of the fact that there's no more middle class anymore. There's no such thing as a middle class anymore. You want to talk about entitlement in terms of a welfare state, et cetera, et cetera. We've created these bad things, but you're either in America now, you're either scraping to get by or you're objectively wealthy. There is no more comfortable. There is, for a majority of Americans, especially younger people, who are going to be expected, not explicitly, but implicitly expected to just buy up the houses and buy up the land because, okay, you're the generation that's in play now. Those people aren't going to have enough money. Those people are no longer, they are either objectively wealthy or scraping to get by. There is no, I make $60,000 a year. I make $70,000 a year. And, I've got a nice car, a decent car. I'm not buying a new car every 2 years or every year. I'm making my mortgage payments. And I can afford a decent vacation for a week or a week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks a year if I stretch it. And I live comfortably. And I don't have to live in constant fear of, oh my God, what payments can I make here or there? I can't pay this. I've got to pay that. I've got to juggle all these things. I don't have to do that. That is a lot harder to find in America now than it ever was before. And it's been a systematic degradation of the middle class enacted by crony capitalism. And a legislature who has let giant corporations just maul people. They just be, fuck you. Good luck finding a job now when you graduate college. You graduate college, you're an engineer. Okay, well, there's a whole lot of engineers now. And we're becoming more efficient, and we are not, there's no inefficiency in our company, and we've trimmed the fat, and so there's 5 times as many engineers for any one job opening as there was before. Good luck. And you can't find a job? Well, that sucks. I'm sorry. What are you going to do now? And here's the pressing question, is that many of you listening to this you probably don't pay for all of your own utilities. You probably don't. And that's okay. Again, I will not look down on people who can't afford this or that, or live with their parents, or are forced to live with their parents, or are forced to take assistance from their parents or the government or whatever, because I am not going to assume that it's your fault or that you are a piece of shit. I'm going to say, man, you know what? That's what you got to do now. That is normal now. It was abnormal in the past because, you know, you could walk outside and fall into a job that paid $15 an hour 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You could probably do it, but you can't do that anymore. There's no such thing. And people have to live. You can't not live because you can't find a job. And that's one of the things when you get into negotiating for wages with a company and a free market. Yeah, well, you're free to just not take a job if you don't like their offer. Well, at some point, no, I'm not. And I won't look down on people for that. And I won't be like, oh, you're a piece of shit. But a lot of you right now, whether because you're younger or you've gone out into the world and you've just gotten absolutely butt touched, and now you're taking some form of assistance from somebody. And a lot of you listening to this are probably in that boat. And my question to you is this, is that when that assistance goes away, for whatever reason, whether disability insurance runs out, whether you can't take any more welfare, or your parents run out of money, or your parents die, what's going to happen? Are you going to be able to pay for, what are you going to be able to pay for? Are you going to be able to pay for your cell phone bill? As it is now, do you have an unlimited plan? You know how much that costs? Are you going to be able to pay for your beast-ass internet so that you can play Call of Duty and watch Twitch live streams? Are you going to be able to pay for that? Are you going to be able to pay for the 50 download internet package so that you can watch Netflix? Are you going to be able to afford Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu Plus, HBO Go? Are you going to be able to afford all those things? What's going to go? Are you going to be able to afford real estate taxes on a house that you inherit, or on a piece of property that you even try to buy? Are you going to be able to afford? Can you afford health insurance? And there are all these questions that, and this article kind of hints at it, but there are all these questions that 20-somethings right now and people in their teens right now are eventually going to figure out within the next 10 years. No. And Comcast, Time Warner, those are going to go. What are the first things to go when you're making $10 an hour trying to keep your head above water? What are the first things going to go? Fuck Netflix. Fuck the internet. I don't need the internet. I have my cell phone data plan, which, by the way, is probably the lowest one they offer. That's your connection to the internet now. Have fun. You're going to be eating out a lot. You're going to be buying all kinds of food. All these things that are going to have to go away if we continue to allow the middle class to just disappear. Because eventually it will get to a point where everybody, not just 20-somethings, but everybody is either scraping to get by / objectively poor or objectively wealthy. No such thing as comfortable anymore, and that's going to be a big issue. And is Comcast aware of it? Are big issues, because the people that are paying the bills now are going to die. And a 20-something who's making $25,000 a year, no matter what the work is, $25,000 a year, who's now forced to give 30% of their take-home pay to pay into healthcare, whatever's left over after that, are they gonna pay for your little internet service? Are they gonna pay for Netflix? Are they gonna pay $15 fucking to get a ticket to go to a movie? No, they're not gonna do that. And get some vocational training. Get help for yourself. Pick yourself up by the bootstraps. Kiss my ass. You trying to do that? I'm reading Adam Carolla's book, and I love Adam Carolla. I do. I love his work, and I think he's tremendously entertaining. But he's definitely a fiscal conservative, or he has, if you had to classify him, And he says he calls them like a sesame and et cetera, but definitely conservative fiscal ideals. And there's a little bit of a tone of just better yourself if you're sick and tired of being poor. And that doesn't work anymore. If you have no credit or bad credit because you're poor and you can't pay your bills, how are you going to pay for college? You're going to get a loan with bad credit or no credit? You're going to get a loan? Really? You're going to be able to pay that back? And even if you get a loan, go to college, get vocational training, you get your degree or you get your certification or whatever, where are you going to find a job? So now you're even more debt than you were before. But, now you've bettered yourself, but you still can't find a job because there's just not a job. There's not as many jobs because now everything's got to be efficient. So now what are you going to do? You're going to go be a greeter at Walmart. Are you paying your cell phone bill? Are you paying for internet being a greeter at Walmart? Fuck no, you're not. And that's what we've allowed to happen to this country or to happen in our society. And if you look around, there's probably a lot more people scraping by than you thought. And people just kind of being comfortable, not really as prevalent as it once was. Now, I talked about Adam Carolla being conservative, and I don't want to belabor that point, but I talked a little bit earlier about people ask whether I'm a libertarian, and there's this constant move. Everything's got to be, I don't know what causes it, but everything has to be classified. Are you a Democrat or you're a Republican? Are you rich or are you poor? Are you staying or are you going? What is your classification? Human, what is your classification? Are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? Are you libertarian? Are you Tea Party? Are you whatever? And studying political science as I did, you learn about election, the ideas of election, and the middle percent, and there are people when you're running for office, whatever office, there are people who are always going to vote for you because of your party of political affiliation. And what you find is that, and the move towards the center, they call it, is that as election day draws nearer, the espoused political views of adept political players gets more and more centrist, because if you want to get the conservative vote, if you want to be the conservative representative on whatever ticket, you've got to be a conservative. And so when you're campaigning and playing to the conservative crowd, I'm conservative, or blah blah blah, all these things, whatever the classification is, right? You're playing to that crowd. But when you're in the general election, when the general election phase comes, you're no longer playing to the conservative crowd, because you or to that specific crowd, because that specific crowd will vote for you no matter what, essentially. Now who you're going after are the people who are undecided, are the people who deviate from party lines, who say, well, I'll vote Democrat if I like what they have to say, or I'll vote Republican if I like what they have to say, or I'll vote independent. Good luck. I'll vote independent if I like what they have to say. And then you start playing to the centrist crowd. Then you kind of move away from ultra-conservative or ultra-liberal ideals and move to a little bit more for everybody. And I was always concerned about that, because it bothered me that there were people on either side, on either extreme of the bell curve. It was just, why would you, no matter what, vote Democrat or Republican, conservative or liberal, because of the name tag, conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican, centrist, whatever? Why would you do that? Why would you, if you are to believe, if you are going to say my vote counts, why would you immediately throw away your vote by saying, no matter what, I'm voting Democrat. No matter what, I'm voting Republican, conservative, liberal, blah, 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 blah. And that's kind of, and in another space, when you're talking to somebody, are you Democrat or are you Republican? What? I don't know. I call them like I see them. I don't. Some of my views are libertarian, I guess. Other views are liberal, and yet other views are conservative. I don't know. To me, the branding of my opinions is ex post facto. After I say them, or after I give these views, then you say, oh, well, that's this, that's that blah, blah, blah. I don't start off, what do you think about this? I don't start off that by saying, well, I'm a libertarian, or as a conservative, or as a Democrat, or as a Republican, I think this or that, the other thing. That's so silly to me, because you are officially stating to people when you say, well, as a this, or I'm a libertarian, or this or that. When you say that, you are communicating to everybody, I don't think for myself completely. I will believe whatever these other people say because of this ideology that I've attached myself to. And no matter what, I will parrot what the ideology says in response to any given scenario or any given Sunday. In the 5 inches in front of your face. And it's what? No. So are some of my views libertarian? Yes. Am I a libertarian? I don't know, and I don't care. If you ask me my views on an issue, I will give them to you, but I will not allow my ideology to shape or dictate even my views on something. I will give you my views based on my morals and how I apply logic, or my brand of logic, or whatever. And my personal experience, sprinkle some of that in there, and you get a concoction that is my view on this issue. And nowhere in that recipe is libertarian or conservative or Democrat. They happen to be, he happens to be black. They may happen to be conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican, independent, centrist, socialist, communist, whatever. They may happen to fall under that tree, but it is not the tree that is dictating their presence. It is me, my consciousness, dictating their presence. And they just so happen to be identified by the outside world as these things. Now, speaking of identifying by the outside world, this is a story from KDVR.com. Fox 31 in Denver. A high school student arrested after police learned she's 31 years old. Okay, there's a whole bunch of things going on in this story. I'll try to be quick as we're nearing the end of the show here. This is in Longview, Texas. A 31-year-old high school sophomore was arrested in Texas earlier this week after giving police a false name. That's not a typo. An investigation found that Charity Ann Johnson is 31, KLTV reported. Johnson, that's her name, Charity, that's her real name, Charity Ann Johnson. Johnson allegedly enrolled in New Life Christian School in Longview, Texas in October of 2013 using the name Charity Stevens. A spokesperson for the school said Johnson was brought in to enroll with her guardian. She enrolled in the school, giving a date of birth that indicated she was 15. On Tuesday, staff at the school discovered her identification was fake. Probably she was buying booze or something. Resident Tamika Lincoln says back in March, Charity told her she was 15 and needed a place to stay. Quote, I sympathized with her and invited her into my home, she told the station. I took her in as a child, did her hair, got her clothes and shoes. Lincoln says Charity claims she was abused by her biological father and that her mother was dead. Lincoln acted as Charity's guardian and even met with Charity's 10th grade teachers at New Life Christian School. Here's the money quote here. Quote, I just don't know why she did it. Why put yourself and others at risk to do something like this, she told KLTV. I have deep concerns about her being who we don't know she is. Yeah, no, I did not misread that. I have deep concerns about her being who we don't know she is, and then she's out there at the school. First of all, Charity, we've gone that far now with ridiculous names for children. Charity? No. Here's the thing. Your name should not have a definition in the dictionary. Okay? That's a rule that I am going to start enforcing right now. I don't know how I'm going to enforce it just yet. When I'm king of the world,
King of the world, baby, king of the world.
when I am king of the world, it will be a rule that you cannot have your child's first name. We'll start with first name and see how that goes. Because I don't know, maybe people start going crazy with their middle names now too. Your child's first name cannot have a definition in the dictionary. You just can't do it. I cannot look. What is your name? Charity. Okay, I'm gonna look it up in the dictionary. If there's a definition for the word charity in this dictionary, you and your parents are getting a bullet in the brain. Stop that. That's enough. Silly name. You know, it was acceptable with strippers. Chastity, Felicity, or let's see what else. Charisma, or Cheyenne, or Diamond, or whatever, right? All these silly stripper names. And they used to be identified as stripper names, right? If your name was Candy, you knew that was a stripper. Like, oh, you're a stripper, right? You've got a stripper name. And then it turned into there are people named Candy. And it's like, you're a stripper? Like, no. Now there's people named Chastity. Now there are people named Diamond. There is somebody alive in the United States of America right now who has the first name Charity. Stop that. It's stupid. There's no point in naming your kid. I will even defend. I will put people who name their children, who give their children first names that have a definition in the dictionary, I will put those people higher on the bus list than people who name their children after celebrities and sports teams or sports entities. There's a guy who named his kid Espen. Okay, that guy is not as bad as the parent who gives their child a name that has a definition in the dictionary. And at the age of 18, if you do not go to the courthouse and officially legally change your name away from something that has a definition in the dictionary, if you don't get a normal fucking name when you're 18 years old, your name is right next to your parents on the bus list. No more Charity, no more Destiny, no more any of this crap. Give your kids a normal fucking name. Because, oh, I was with Charity last week. What? You were at a charity drive? Oh, no, I was with my friend Charity. What? You mean you were at a charity drive? No, I was hanging out with my friend Charity. Abbott and Costello, who's on first, has become a real thing. Abbott and Costello were prophets. Who, what, when, where is prophetic at this point, because we've actually created and allowed to happen in our society where somebody's name can be confused for a word in common usage. Who, at some point, who actually will be on first. And somebody will have the Abbott and Costello who's on first discussion. And it's going to start, and it's all because people name their kids fucking Charity. Okay? Stop it. But also, here's the big deal. Okay? Giving a false name to police, because here's probably what happened. Administrators found out there's a 31-year-old acting as a 15-year-old in their school. And they called the police. The police showed up at the I'm just guessing here, but this is probably close to actually what happened. The Texas cops showed up at the high school, found this girl, found Charity Stevens, and asked her what her name was. And Charity Ann Johnson, who was acting as Charity Stevens, told the police Charity Stevens. Bam, false name to police. Now you've committed a crime, can't do that. But the money quote is, I just don't know why she did it. Why put yourself and others at risk? Who's at risk? Who is at risk by Charity pretending to be a different Charity who's younger? Who's at risk? And I'll tell you who's at risk because she says it later on. I have deep concerns about her being who we don't know she is. My brain just melted. And then she's out there at the school. That's what it is. You know what that is? That's a children argument. I don't know who this person is, but they're around children and it scares me. No. This needs to stop. This ultimate, undying, unfledgling dedication and devotion to protecting children from nothing. From nothing. I am 26 years old. I'm going to be 27 in mid-July. Let's see, how many days are in July this year? Or no, wait, you're derp. I'm an idiot. There are 31 days in July. So just before the midpoint of July. July 14th, I'm going to be 27 years old. But I'm 26 right now. If I was walking around and saying, hey, man, I'm 19. What's up? What's going on? I'm 19 years old. I am not as old as I say I am. I'm just not. But if I'm not as old as I say I am, what about that precludes me or makes it dangerous for me to be around children? What about me lying about my age? And I don't want to hear because you could be this, you could be that, and other people have done no. Don't daisy chain bad things to arrive, because that's fear mongering. When you daisy chain bullshit together to, well, and and you could have been a 9/11 hijacker. I didn't know, so I pulled a gun on you. No, that's faulty reasoning, and that's bullshit. What about, and somebody wrote this and didn't even question it, like, oh yeah, well, you lied about your age, you're around children, that's bad, can't do that. What about lying about your age, not being as old as you say you are? What about me saying I'm 19, and then I go, where do kids go? I go to medieval times, and I'm around kids, or something, or I go to a college, and I'm 26 going on 27, and I say I'm 19. What about that? Strictly about lying about your age means that we need to protect children from you. What in the no. Stop protecting children from bullshit ghosts that don't exist, and Call of Duty ghosts. Protect them from that too, because it's an awful game. Stop. Just, oh my God. Oh, well, this might be bad, so you got to protect the children from it. You can't be around them and blah, blah, blah. I got to protect it. No. It's noble to want to protect children from evil. Yes, certainly, of course. I do not. I'm not saying that fuck children, put them out in the wild, and let them get eaten by wolves. That's not what I'm saying. It's certainly noble to want to protect children, but have some common damn sense. Have some reason. Don't just protect what isn't noble. What is not noble is fear mongering to protect children. That is not noble, and that's unethical and wrong to fearmonger, to use children as a vehicle to espouse fear and inspire fear in people. That's wrong, and that's bad. Protecting children from actual evil that is presented is noble. But to go around and say, well, I didn't know who you are, and so you can't be around children because something, stop it. Just apply some common damn sense, and don't be afraid to call people on their bullshit for that. Because, of course, they've aligned themselves with children, and if you dare question what they say, well, then you're attacking children. But no, fuck that. Yes, I am attacking children. Yes, fuck children. Stop it. Stop trying to protect them. Stop trying to demonize people for presenting some kind of evil that isn't even real. Stop it. Because you're just perpetuating the idea that no matter what you do when you do that is you perpetuate the idea, and you tacitly confirm that it's okay that if there is even the mere presence of any kind of impropriety, that people should be viewed as wrong, should be made to be out as villains, and should possibly even be, you need the police to talk to you because what the fuck? The police should detain you and talk to you and because I don't know who you are. And that's what you do. You tacitly accept and confirm and positively reinforce all those things when you don't say something about people being completely ridiculous. Yeah, it's fucking weird that a 31-year-old named Charity pretended to be a 15-year-old named Charity and went back to high school. But was there even a question of, does she have a GED? Is that what she was trying to do? Did she pose as a child so that she could finish her education? There's not even a mention of that in any article that I've found. It's like, oh, well, you know, it didn't even raise the question. The question wasn't even raised. Why was she there? It was simply she was not old as she said she was, and that's bad and weird, and she was around children, and oh my God. And that's unacceptable. And we need to stop that, and we need to start calling people out on this kind of bullshit. And we also need to similarly call people out on their bullshit for giving their children names that have definitions in the dictionary. Whatever dictionary you choose, I don't care. It could be fucking Urban Dictionary. If there's a definition for your name in a dictionary, you're on the bus list. Your parents are on the bus list, and if you're over the age of 18, you still have that fucking name, you're on the bus list too. Oh yeah, baby. Let's wrap it up. The Lefty Show. This has been episode 14. Thank you to everybody for joining the show, everybody for listening, liking, favoriting, subscribing on YouTube. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for helping the show grow. Thank you to everybody that's shared the show with their friends or family or co-workers, maybe even your boss. Call your sons, call your daughters, get them to listen to the Lefty Show. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you to everybody that's been donating. Had a slew of donations for That's Not Why You Called last night. Look to keep that train rolling with the Lefty Show today. Head on over to imraising.com/643productions. That's imraising.com/643productions. Go ahead and donate, help out the cause. Would greatly appreciate it. There's a link in the description. Anyway, guys, hope to see you tomorrow. PKA tonight will be uploaded tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining. I got to get out of here. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed. I'm out. Bye.
Pay that man his money!